the memory of all our grandparents who have fallen asleep in the peace of Christ. Little baby Bridget McCrory, the second of 5 children to Thomas McCrory and Bridget Taggart, was born on the 21st January 1893 at Lower Back, in area of the town Mountjoy, now called Broke, County Tyrone, Ireland. She was baptized the next day on 22nd January at the lovely little parish church of St. Bridget's in Broke, where her parents married. This was the start of her vocation as a member of God's family. She grew up on the banks of Lough Neagh, under the shadow of the nearby Ardbow High Cross, which shows the ancient Catholic roots of the island. Her time spent with her elderly grandfather, Taggart, led to her lifelong devotion of care for the elderly. At the age of 5, she attended the parish school next to the church, where she was a diligent student. In the year 1900, her father Thomas left Ireland and came to Scotland with the promise of better work and money in the steelworks at Clydesdale, Lanarkshire. They lived briefly at the time in Holytown. Bridget continued her studies at St. Francis Xavier Parish School, Carfin, and was confirmed and made her first communion in the parish on 5th October 1901, taking the name Teresa. The family's living standards improved, and they moved a year later to 480 Main Street in Mossend, just behind the Church of the Holy Family. It was here the family would lay down their Scottish roots, and Bridget would continue her studies at Holy Family Parochial School. The town that at the time was home to many new Irish and Lithuanian immigrants who were seeking work. Bridget had a happy childhood in the town of Mossend. Her mother recalled one day being at the sink washing dishes on the upper floor of their home and seeing Bridget appear at eye level with her at the window. She was on a very tall stilts. She and her friends had a great laugh at the surprised expression of her mother. In 1906, she moved to Elmwood Convent School in Bothwell. There she excelled in the French language, which would be very useful for her as she got older. At the school, she learned a lot about her Catholic faith in the example of the excellent, gentle, and caring religious sisters who took their classes. With her home being close to Holy Family Mossend Parish Church, she would often spend many hours in prayer before the Blessed Sacrament and help Father Francis Cronin, the parish priest, with setting up the altar for Mass. She had a great eye for flower arranging and took delight in this task in making the altars beautiful. In 1911, her 40-year-old father, Thomas, was killed after being burned in an accident at the nearby Clydesdale Steelworks. Bridget was deeply affected by her father's death, and her mother was left to raise the young family. Their deep faith and prayer life helped them to cope with this tragic loss. A year on from the death of her father, Bridget decided to answer what she felt was the Lord calling her to religious life. She was to enter the Little Sisters of the Poor, Glasgow, which meant she would not be too far from her mother. However, she was told 2 months later that she would be moved to Paris. Before catching her train on 11th August 1912, she paid a visit to Dean Cronin, who gave her a blessing and told her to pick a book from his library. Closing her eyes, she selected the life of St. Teresa of Avila, another foundress in Carmel. She then left for her train, accompanied by Mossend curate Father Kelliger, with a large box of chocolates given to her by her mother. She made her novitiate in La Tour, France, and on 8 September 1913, she took the religious name Sister Mary Angeline de Saint Agathe. Then from 1915 until 1924, she spent in Brooklyn, New York on an assignment in a home for the aged. One of her duties was to collect money to support the elderly residents. After her final profession in 1925, In France, she was sent back to the United States of America, where in 1926 she was appointed superior of the Home of the Little Sisters of the Poor in the Bronx. In 1927, she felt an urge to do more for the elderly and infirm within the Little Sisters of the Poor. However, on the Feast of St. Therese in 1928, her call was affirmed to found a new order in Carmel. At the end of the novena to the Little Flower, she was given a bouquet of roses by a Carmelite priest. She saw this as her sign. Encouraged by Cardinal Hayes of New York, and with his blessing, Mother Angeline and 6 other sisters withdrew from the Little Sisters of the Poor and granted permission from Rome to establish a new community. The Carmelite Sisters for the Aged and Infirm, officially founded on 3rd September 1929 from St. Elizabeth's Old Rectory in New York. Soon Mother desired a larger permanent residence. Shortly after, she was taken by a large brick building in the Bronx. However, the local dean told her that the agents refused to sell to them. The priests had even buried a medal of Little Flower in the garden, but they had no success. Mother Angeline remarked jokingly that the Little Flower was saving it for them. "Let's go in," she said. Shortly after, the building was theirs and founded as their first permanent home, St. Patrick's in the Bronx, New York. Mother felt that the European way of care was far greater in giving dignity and respect to elderly people. She introduced small touches, such as allowing elderly married couples to share a bedroom, creating a dignified home-like atmosphere. With the care of the sisters, there was access to spiritual care through daily mass and prayers. Mother believed she was following God's will, and soon the demand grew for more space and more residents. Over the next few decades, the order expanded with homes popping up across the USA, with also foundations in Scotland and Ireland. With every new home, she would remark it was another tabernacle for the Lord. She was there to guide and help sisters and aid them in the process of new foundations. Mother often came back to visit her family and friends in Scotland. Her mother moved to 6 Millwood Drive in Mossend. In this new house, they erected a small oratory and altar for Mother Angeline, which was always beautifully decorated with flowers. Mother always made it a priority to spend time in prayer, and when back home, she would walk up to Holy Family Mossend and pray before the Blessed Sacrament. She was always very humble and was embarrassed by the attention she got on her return visits from parishioners who remembered her. Mother had a close friend in Monsignor Taylor of Carfin Grotto. She would visit him on her return visits and the beautiful grotto. In 1932, she visited the Lisieux Carmel with Canon Taylor and met the Sisters of St. Therese of Lisieux. St. Therese of Lisieux had handcrafted model of her cell. During pilgrimage, Mother Agnes of Jesus, St. Therese's sister Pauline gave it to Mother Angeline. Over the course of her life, she met many other well-known Catholics and popes, including Pope Pius XI, Pius XII, and St. Paul VI. In 1978, due to her failing health, she retired and asked another sister to be elected Superior General of her order. In her later life, she still attended daily Mass and spent time in continual prayer. Mother died on her 91st birthday, 21st January 1984, at the Mother House in Germantown, where she is buried. Her passing was marked by condolences from many across the world, including then U.S. President Ronald Reagan, who wrote, "God richly bless the life of Mother Angeline Teresa, and that blessing is being passed on through charity and goodwill of the Carmelite Sisters of the Aged and Infirm. From her story, we can all draw lessons about the lives of service to which we are called. Her heroic virtues were affirmed, and she was declared Venerable Pope Benedict XVI, 28 June 2012. To this day, her legacy inspires her sisters in their work for the elderly and infirm. Mother Angeline is still held in affection in the towns of Braga, Ireland, and Mossend, Scotland, with devotion to Mother's life and holiness ever increasing. We ask that God one day soon she will be named a saint of the Catholic Church. Amen.